Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday and welcome to this week's edition of Stanford Live. I'm so excited today. We are meeting with our APP Fellowship team to go over our APP Fellowship program. Applications are opening in December. So nurse practitioners, physicians, assistants, we want to hear from you. We have our director here, Kelly, who's going to be giving you a little bit more background on the fellowship program itself. We have Jade Robinson, who's one of our current fellows here to tell you all about what it's like being a fellow. One of our TA acquisition specialists, Rick Novak, is here to tell you about how to apply, everything you need to know from the application through the credentialing portion of it. And then we have a specialty manager, Aaron, who is here from cardiothoracic surgery to talk about his department as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly Bugos, who is our director of the APP Fellowship, to start us off.
Thank you so much, Carly, and thank you so much for hosting this event today. We're so excited to have all of you that are interested in an APP fellowship joining us today. So I want to tell you a little bit about the program. The Stanford Healthcare APP Fellowship Program is a transition to practice program. And what that means is that we're here to support nurse practitioners, physician assistants that are new to the role, or APPs that are new to administration. And with that, we help develop the professional skills that are necessary to be successful over the years. And the third part is the specialty knowledge. Many people, when they're interested in a fellowship, are thinking about that specialty knowledge, like cancer, cardiothoracic surgery. But we know that it's a package deal, and that when there's 3 areas of growth going on at one time, it's a steep learning curve. And that's what makes the fellowships an important part of people's next step in their professional journey. So here at Stanford, our program length is 1 year. It runs from October to October. The clinical rotations are within the inpatient and outpatient settings, and they are throughout our healthcare organization. The APP fellows, when they come to us, they have become licensed by the state of California. They are certified in their profession, and they are credentialed by Stanford Healthcare. So from the day they start, they are fully practicing providers of healthcare. Each specialty offers a broad exposure to that specialty. And then within our program, we offer a broad exposure to the organization. We guarantee a minimum of 1,250 hours of practice-based learning, that's in the rotations, and a minimum of 500 hours of conference time or didactic learning. So I want to tell you just a little bit about our history. And that is that this program started in 2016. So the next cohort, a group of fellows that we choose, is going to be the 8th year of the program. To date, we've had 35 APP fellows across 5 specialties, and 93% of our alumni are working in the specialty in which they were trained. And we're really proud of that. It means that we've helped align people to the areas that they want to work in long term. 68% of our fellows are hired at Stanford Healthcare, and we would love for that number to be higher. In 2022, we were really fortunate to be reaccredited as a practice transition program, and we were accredited with distinction. And this is by the American Nurses Credentialing Corporation. And for those of you that are thinking like advanced practice providers, you may be thinking, what does that mean for me? And what it means is that this is a standard, is that we've set a standard, and we have been basically accredited by people across the country that think that the program that we run is something that is worthwhile. And that when the next year or two, we will be transitioning to a new accreditation, which is an APP fellowship accreditation. So let's dive into the specialties a little bit. So cancer was one of our first specialties back in 2016, and we've had 14 fellows to date. Then cardiothoracic surgery started in 2018, and there's been 11 fellows to date. Electrophysiology just graduated the first fellow cohort just the earlier part of this month, so they've had 4 fellows total. And then we're really excited to announce that we will be interviewing this cycle, so this winter, for the inpatient neurosciences. This is a new specialty added to our program, and we'll be selecting 2 fellows. And then something that's relatively unique to our program is we have an administration tract. So this is for APPs that have been in clinical practice for 5 or more years, and they really have an intent of transitioning to an administrative position. So they spend the year working with us in the Center for Advanced Practice. What's unique about this approach is there's no clinical practice. You have to have clinical experience. And this has been accredited by the ANCC as the first non-clinical specialty in all of their programs internationally. We select 1 fellow for this specialty, and we'll look forward to answering your questions about that. So I want to sum that up to say, as we start this cycle of getting to know you and entertaining and reviewing your applications, that we will select a total of 9 fellows this cycle. So it'll be 2 in each of the clinical specialties and 1 in administration. And so to start to give you a flavor of what that actually looks and feels like, I'm going to transition the mic to Jade Robinson. She is a APP fellow in cancer care, and we're so glad to have her here.
Hello, everyone. Like Kelly mentioned, I am currently an APP fellow in cancer care. I'm a nurse practitioner by training. Just to share with you a couple of things, my experience so far in the fellowship, why I chose the fellowship, and also just to kind of highlight my move across the country. My experience so far with Stanford has been amazing. Everyone here is very, very welcoming. I can recall getting lost on my first day, and several people helped me find what I was looking for during my orientation. So, like I said, everyone is extremely welcoming. It almost feels like you're at home, even though this network is very, very huge. Another thing is that the program is not new. As Kelly mentioned, we're entering our 8th year. So people across the clinical settings are very familiar with the fellowship, and look forward to meeting the new fellows every year. Another thing to mention is that even though, the application can seem really daunting, trust me, it is, the program is very, very worth every single piece of the application, from filling out the application with each step, your personal statement, securing your letters of recommendation, what you get in return from the fellowship, the experience, the didactic hours, being in the clinical setting and being able to practice alongside attendings and nurse practitioners and physician assistants, all the way up to working independently. Every single step of the application process is worth it. Just to talk about my experience a little bit more. So why I chose this fellowship, I come from a surgical oncology background, and I wanted to gain more experience with medical oncology. And when I was looking at different fellowship programs, I saw that a lot of them were focused on one specific area, for example, like geriatric oncology or surgical oncology. But because I was not exactly sure which area of oncology I wanted to enter, the program at Stanford really stood out to me, because there were so many different opportunities for you to rotate throughout the different cancer types, but also spend time with radiation oncology, lymphoma, palliative care, and survivorship. So you really get a broad overview of cancer care and what patients can experience as they battle their disease. Also, with the nurse practitioner programs, a lot of them do not have oncology subspecialties. So there's not a lot of oncology information that or knowledge that you can gain through the program. So I really wanted to boost my own capabilities, my skills, my knowledge before entering into the workforce. So those 2 things were most important to me. And also, as Kelly mentioned, this is an accredited transition to practice program. So it's really a step in the right direction towards advancing your career. You can get more knowledge and experience while learning from some of the best advanced practice providers the country has to offer. So it's really, really important that if you're kind of on the edge or the fence about what areas, specifically speaking to cancer care, if you're unsure of what area you would like to enter into, I definitely encourage you to apply to the program, or even reach out to one of the leaders to get more information about the program. And lastly, just to highlight my move across the country, I am in a unique position because I am not only am from Oakland, California, but I also was a patient at Stanford at one point in time. And so just being in this position, it felt really comfortable and natural for me moving back home per se. However, I have not lived in California for 8 years. So it's really been a big transition in my life. But all of the leaders, from Kelly to our specialty leaders, Lori is our leader for cancer care, they have really helped during this transition process and provided me with resources. Even Rick, who you'll hear from later, I reached out to him quite a few times with questions. And, just to make this a full circle moment, like I said, every single person that I have interacted with at Stanford has been extremely welcoming and very, very helpful through this process for myself.
Thank you so much, Jade, for sharing your experience. And as I mentioned, we are so glad that you're here. And just so you all know that 60% of the APP fellows moved to the San Francisco Bay Area for the fellowship. And with that, I want to pass the mic to Erin Lameli, who is a specialty leader for cardiothoracic surgery.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Erin Lameli. I am the specialty leader for CT surgery, and I also work in the CVICU as an APP. And just to explain a little bit of what the specialty leader role is, it's a hybrid role. And so myself, Lori, cancer care specialty leader, Angela, the EP special leader, and Kelly, the program director for the administration for the fellowship, and also the leader for the administration, we all still work clinically. So we spend half our time working our clinical shifts, and then we spend the other part of our time working on the fellowship. Just to explain a little bit about the role of the special leader for you all, it really involves being the liaison for myself, between like the CVH department, the cardiovascular health department, to the preceptors, the leaders, the APP fellowship program, the program director Kelly, and the fellows. We specialty leaders, we design the APP fellow experiences in designated clinical specialties. We develop learning objectives for clinical rotations, determine, plan, and implement didactic material. We select and support preceptors as well. We teach, we mentor, we coach, and we precept ourselves. We also lead specialty advisory group meetings and facilitate APP fellow candidate interviews. In addition to evaluating the current APP fellows, their clinical competence, and heavily contribute to the writing process for the program accreditation, which Kelly mentioned, with distinction by the ANCC. And just lastly, I just wanted to share with you all what really excites me about being the specialty leader for CT surgery here at Stanford. There's something special to be said about being able to witness someone's confidence grow right before your eyes. This is year 4 for me as a specialty leader with CT surgery, and I feel really proud to be a part of the APP's transition to practice process, whether it be as a preceptor, a mentor, a leader, colleague, or friend. It's rewarding for us when the APP fellows' eyes light up as they become self-aware of the growth in confidence and comfort, both clinically and professionally. Each year, the program becomes stronger and stronger, cultivating these incredible APPs that we feel proud to send out to the world, whether if they stay here at Stanford or go elsewhere. And I'm really grateful to be a part of something so big and powerful. Thank you, and I'm going to turn that back to Kelly.
Thank you, Erin, for just summarizing what is a very large job and a very important job. The specialty leaders are the secret sauce of our program. We work as a leadership team, and then the fellows have this incredible opportunity to have these weekly or sometimes daily touch points with the specialty leader as they guide and help, as you see, transition the fellows into the providers they want to be. And so with that, I'm going to segue to Rick Novak, who is our talent acquisition representative who I've had the pleasure of working with for a number of years now. And he's going to share a little bit more about the application process.
Oh, I'm muted. Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Novak. As Kelly mentioned, I am a talent acquisition representative, which is kind of a fancy word to describe a recruiter. So our process will actually begin shortly after this meeting by posting up online a number of actual positions for you to apply to. In the meantime, and Carly, I'm not sure if I can actually add this to the chat or not. I will make sure that everybody has access to the link for our landing page so that you can actually go and see and learn more about the positions as we prepare to open up the applications for the 23-24 cycle. A couple of things to keep in mind, and Kelly had mentioned this earlier, for our clinical positions, neurosciences, cardiothoracic surgery, electrophysiology, and cancer care, we do expect and require all applicants to have no more than 1 year of clinical practice at the point of applying. Applications will be open until mid-February. So the expectation would be that you have not practiced longer than February of 2022 to be eligible for the clinical fellowship positions. For the administrative fellowship, we do require a minimum of 5 years of clinical practice or APP leadership experience in the APP space. So keep that in mind, that you will need to have that 5 years of experience when you actually submit your application. We will go through January and February with our open application cycle. And then by February and March, we will begin to extend offers for individuals to move to the next phase, the interview phase, where you'll actually get the opportunity to spend more time speaking directly with Kelly and those specialty leaders and learn more about that special sauce and ask those questions that are really important for you to make that decision. Through the application process, we are going to ask you for some additional information. If you have any questions about that, I will actually be there to help you through this entire process. So you don't have to remember this now, but if you are interested in applying, you might want to start collecting these now. We will actually need 5 essays, and we will give you the prompts for those. Don't worry, no one's expecting you to have an English degree, so we can definitely talk a little bit more about what those expectations are. We will need a copy of your curriculum vitae or resume, whichever style you prefer. We will also need a copy of your unofficial transcript from your APP graduate program. And then we will also need 2 letters of reference. We prefer one to be from an academic affiliation, and then potentially one from, another clinician, a physician, one of your peers, etc. And I will make sure, and we will share all of that information with you when it comes time to actually apply. Once you apply, you will receive many touch points from me throughout the entire process. And my goal here and my role is actually to support you and make this as easy as possible. So when we actually start going into the interview process, and if you've been selected to move forward, you're going to have a copy of my cell phone number. You can call or text me anytime with any questions about this position. So that way you can feel comfortable and confident that you've done everything necessary to move through the process to the next step. Keep in mind that the fellowship begins in October of 2023 and will go through October of 2024. So please kind of make whatever arrangements are necessary for you, your family, and your career to make that happen. And also keep in mind something that Kelly said earlier. These are fully accredited positions. And right now, 68% of our fellows do end up staying long-term as permanent members of the Stanford healthcare team. Me and my team will help you with that transition when the time comes, and we greatly look forward to the opportunity to speak with you, learn more about you, share the story of our organization and our fellowship, and hopefully be able to extend you an offer to join the program for the 23-24 cycle. Kelly, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Rick. So I hope one of the takeaways for all of you in the audience today is that we are a team. We are so fortunate to have Rick and Carly as part of our recruiting and settling in team. In fact, they come to graduation. So thank you so much for that support, Rick and Carly. And with that, I think we'll open it up for questions.
Kelly, I did want to, one that we tend to get a lot of times when Rick and I are helping out at different career events is what is the director or, what are the managers of the fellowship program looking for in an applicant? What stands out to them? How can they make their application stand out amongst all of the hundreds of others that are applying to be a part of our program?
Oh, thanks for that question, Carly. And actually, it starts with the applicant, because really what we're looking for is someone who's clear that they want to be part of a transition to practice program, and they're clear that they want that particular specialty. So, several of our specialties are somewhat niche, like cardiothoracic surgery, electrophysiology, and administration. And then cancer is broader. So we want to make the right match, because our end goal is to help the fellows become the professionals they want to be. And our organizational end goal is to help bring an APP along in their practice so that they're working with us in those specialties in which they trained long-term.
Awesome. And we just had another another question come in, Kelly, and I think this will probably go towards you. Do you have roles for nurse practitioners practicing for a few years, or is it mainly just for new grads? So obviously you oversee the fellowship program, and that is mostly just for new grads, correct?
Yes. So the clinical specialties, cancer, cardiothoracic surgery, electrophysiology, and inpatient neurosciences, are clinical specialties for newly graduated APPs. Administration is for the seasoned APP. So any advanced practice registered nurse, including nurse anesthetists, are welcome to apply. And physician assistants. They must have more than 5 years of clinical experience. And here we're looking to match the fellow or the applicant with the fellowship for someone who really knows that their next step in their career is going to be in the administrative realm.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jade, I kind of want to put you on the spot real quick too. You're a fellow, you made it through. Thinking back through the application process and everything, over the last year to get here, what's some advice you can give someone that's considering our program, or something that you wish someone had told you prior to you applying or going through the interview process? Any tips out there you can give anyone, or for someone looking to completely relocate, such as yourself, what makes you just take that leap of faith and go for it?
One of the things when you first started talking, Carly, was that came to my mind. I remember in my interview, I asked the team, what is something that I could do to prepare myself for the program? And the unanimous response was absolutely nothing. Take the time that you have during the summer to relax and enjoy yourself. And I would just echo that for folks that are interested and then who eventually are accepted into the fellowship, to really just understand that this is a transition to practice program. No one expects you to be 100% knowledgeable in the area. Having some background may help you, and having no background at all in whatever field that you eventually want to practice as an advanced practice provider, that's perfectly fine. So that's one thing that I definitely would take away. Making sure that you, when you're preparing for the program, if you are moving across the country, focus on your move and preparing yourself, getting to know California before you actually start the fellowship program. So that's just one piece of advice I would give to upcoming fellows. And then I believe you had a second part to that question that I'm probably forgetting, and I didn't answer well.
I was going to ask you, what made you do the leap of faith to move across the country for this residency, that it was okay for you to relocate and you just took that leap of faith?
For me, it was the experience and being able to cycle through all of the different cancer types. So just knowing about Stanford and how great of an institution this is and all of the resources I would have access to, those two things were really what encouraged me to move across the country and take that leap of faith. As we know, cancer is a very, very broad field. There's so many different avenues that you can take. And coming from a surgical oncology background and wanting to enter into the medical oncology field, being able to, like I said, cycle through the different cancer types and figuring out, do I like solid tumor? Am I more interested in heme? Or maybe even radiation oncology would be a better fit for me. Those are questions that I didn't have the answers to. So looking at Stanford's program and knowing that I would be able to get a very broad exposure to cancer, but spending a lot of time in each individual cancer type and learning about disease management and treatment was really, really important for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Jade. Kelly, we had a question come in that I believe is going to be geared towards you. Charlotte asked, if we are fortunate enough to be chosen, will the fellowship be counted as hours of practice towards AB 890, or is it independent practice?
Wow, Charlotte, you asked the lottery question. So I will say that any hours of practice during the fellowship are licensed hours of practice. So I think the answer to your question is yes. Just to be sure everybody in the audience knows, is that AB 890 is an assembly bill that was passed in the state of California, and now the enactment of it is under discussion. In fact, it was under discussion just this morning by the Board of Registered Nursing. And once the steps are defined, nurse practitioners working in the state of California will be able to have independent practice once they go through several steps and with practice. So Charlotte, any hours that are clinical hours in the program are NP practice hours.
Great, thank you. And another one for you here, Kelly, from Shala. Shala asks, can you elaborate a little bit more on the administrative role?
Sure. So you can tell we're really excited about this, as we are all the specialties. And so the administration specialty is a situation where the fellow team really is our center for advanced practice. And we are very, very fortunate at Stanford to first have 700 APPs. And that 95% of APPs answer to APPs. So I think that's another kind of piece of the culture here that helps the fellows to thrive. In administration, then the fellow works with our APP managers and directors, and most closely with me, and then Claire Kyriakos, our executive director for the Center for Advanced Practice. And during that time, it is the rotations are around professionalism, leader development, communication. There's a QI project, as there is for all the fellows. And it's an opportunity to take advantage of the rich resources we have at Stanford for leader development, and then to put them into practice with some role modeling from the other APP leaders. And so one of those examples is that there is a LLAMA, which is LLAMA is a leadership academy, which is something that is once a month, and it's for leaders across the organization who want to develop their leadership style. And there's a small project that you do at the end. So there's a number of those types of opportunities that are threaded into the curriculum of the administration specialty. And I'm happy to answer more specific questions about that specialty.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Rick, I'm going to turn the next two questions over to you because they kind of lump in with talent acquisition. Roxanne graduates in May 2023 and asked if she would be eligible to apply. So can you break down when are the dates to and from that you had to have graduated with your MSN or your PA? And Jonathan asked, when will you be notified during this entire process if you've been accepted into the program?
So the easier question will be Jonathan, so I will take that really quick. So Jonathan, and for everybody, you will be notified. So applications will close in the middle of February. If we need to extend them, we'll have communication on that, but mentally think second week of February 2023, applications are closed. We will then notify individuals selected to interview over the next couple of weeks, and we will go through the interview process typically through the month of March into early April. Also depends on how many candidates there are that match what the requirements are for the position. And then from there, the target is the last week of April or the first week of May of 2023, we will formally extend the offers for the position. The next thing to kind of keep in mind, and Rox, this will actually factor into your question, is you're graduating in May of 2023. May you still apply? Yes. However, the caveat with that, and something to be aware of, is if you are not currently licensed in the state of California, which you wouldn't be until you finish your training program, it can be a fairly lengthy process. And without fail, we always have a little bit of stress points for a couple of folks when we come down to the end due to that credentialing and licensure period. So that's part of the reason, and this goes back to Jonathan, why we make the offers so early. They seem to be extremely early with an understanding that you'll be starting in the first weeks of October of next year, because we want to give you enough time to work through the process with the BRN, et cetera, to be able to get your license, to be able to get all of your credentials, because again, these are fully credentialed positions except for our administrative fellow. They do not have clinical credentials, so you won't have to go through that wonderful process unless you want to stay on later to actually take on a clinical practice role with us after the fellowship. So just kind of keep that in mind. And those are all things that we will certainly talk about, you and I, as we go through the interview process.
Thanks so much, Rick. I know our time here is starting to kind of wind down, but Jade, I wanted to ask you kind of a final question, final thought before we end our call today. For anyone that's looking at the various programs that are offered out there, what would you say to them about why they should apply at Stanford's and why they should choose Stanford over maybe another competitor's fellowship program?
The first thing that I would say is to look at your career, look at your goals for the next 5 years, write them down, and see how the different programs align with your own personal goals, aspirations, etc. And for me personally, as I've said, with Stanford's program, I could get a general overview of cancer care, which was more in line with my short-term goal of figuring out where exactly I want to be career-wise as a nurse practitioner in oncology. Another motivating factor for me choosing Stanford is the opportunity to be certified, to get more certifications under my belt to make me more knowledgeable in caring for cancer patients. And so I would encourage all of you, even if you think, well, I don't think I have enough experience, or maybe I'm not qualified, to just reach out to Rick or anyone from the talent acquisition team and talk to them about your experience to see if you are a good fit for the program. But like I said, I would encourage everyone interested to apply, and hopefully we can welcome you to Stanford.
Thanks so much, Jade. And this is kind of a final question to you, Kelly. Being the director of the fellowship program, obviously you've seen everything. You're really involved in the program and its successes. What is something that you're most proud about this program that just gets you excited about the fellowship year after year?
Oh, thank you. Because I have been involved since 2016. And I will say, I want to echo what Erin said. It is when the light goes on. It's when we see at every graduation, the specialty leaders and we sit and we just glow over the progress that the fellows have made, and just watching them launch and move forward in their career is our proudest moment. And then programmatically, I think what keeps me really excited is that we are a leadership team. We work together, and it's something that the fellows often will comment on and saying that it's Erin doesn't just help out with the cardiothoracic surgery fellows. We work together to support the fellows as a whole. In fact, this morning we're doing the first case study, together as a group of 11 or 12 people. So those are the things that keep me excited. We're very fortunate to have strong support from our operational leaders. So our program has sustained some of the hardest times that all of us have sustained in healthcare, and we didn't have to change a thing. We have strong support. We're continually in a what we call a PDSA or quality improvement process. We're always looking to make it just a little bit better. And I'd like to just add one more comment, and that is some of you are asking about what the opportunities are as an experienced APP. And I want to say that if the fellowship isn't the fit for you now, Stanford Healthcare may be. We work really hard in the Center for Advanced Practice to have structured onboarding, structured orientation. There's mentorship that's required for everyone with less than 3 years of APP experience. So if the fellowship isn't right, there may be another opportunity at Stanford Healthcare that is right for you.
Thanks so much, Kelly. And for everyone watching, after this event ends, I will make sure to go down into the comment chat boxes on all the various platforms and include a link to our APP landing page where you can learn more about our Center for Advanced Practice, learn more about the APP Fellowship Program, and kind of see what the right fit is for you. But I want to say a huge thank you to Kelly, Erin, Jade, and Rick for taking time out of their day today to talk about our APP Fellowship Program, get everyone excited. I loved seeing some of these comments come in about APPs being inspired to apply here, with either this fellowship or the next one. So thankful this was so informative. And for those of you that are watching, that this is long past the event ending, feel free to leave your comments. Rick will be keeping an eye on them. He's happy to answer any questions that you have, and we'll also make sure to drop his contact information in the chat boxes. So from all of us here, thank you so much for joining us for today's Stanford Live, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you, Carly.